Hey everyone, welcome back to another chilling episode in DARKPEN's series of horror stories. Feeling brave tonight? We've got another spooky story in store for you. So, grab some snacks, get comfy, and get ready for a chilling adventure. Let's dive in. Sweltering summer heat hung heavy in the air. Hannah and Julia, both young and stunning athletes, decided to escape the heat with a quick trip. Skilled swimmers, they loved exploring hidden natural wonders. Since it was summer vacation, they took this opportunity to take a break from their university worries and everyday chores and experience the feeling of vitality and joy again. They were ready to embark on this short trip into nature. They packed all their belongings and put them in their car. Julia, who was a lively and energetic girl, started driving towards the outskirts of the city and the desired nature. They sang along to the loud music on the car radio and had happy moments together. After driving for a while, they enter a rural area. Julia tells her friend Hannah that it's better to go to that roadside restaurant and rest for a while. They park the car and head to that diner. The waiter comes to take their orders. Julia orders 2 cold drinks and some snacks. While the waiter was taking their order, Hannah suddenly asks him a question. We heard that there is a beautiful and pristine lake around here. You are a native of this area. Is it possible to tell us which way is the fastest way to get there? The waiter, whose smile had faded from his face, asked them, Can I ask why you want to go there? Julia intervened and said, It's very clear that we are going for fun, and since we are skilled swimmers, we have decided to swim, and we have been to most of the lakes and natural areas in other regions. But this lake was the only place we haven't been yet, and we are eager to see and experience its pristine beauty. After a short silence, Hannah asks the waiter, Is there a specific reason why you asked us this question? The waiter, after a little thought and in a trembling voice, said to them, I suggest you don't go to the lake in this area. Instead, if you go to the next 2 villages, there is another lake that you can go to. Julia, with mischief and laughter, says to him, Maybe there is a serial killer in that area, or maybe aquatic cannibals, or even aliens? The waiter, who seemed a little nervous, said to them, This is not a laughing matter at all. Strange reports have been coming from that lake for years. Local news shows that people like you have gone there and no trace of them has ever been found. If you value your life, give up before it's too late. After finishing his speech, the waiter immediately left them. After a while, Hannah and Julia returned to their car. Hannah was affected by the waiter's words and was caught up in negative thoughts. As Hannah was lost in silence, Julia suddenly called out to her, Hey Hannah! What's wrong, girl? You haven't said a word all this time. Don't let the words of that crazy waiter get you thinking. Hannah forced a smile and said to her friend, No, we have traveled to many places and natural environments that no one else dares to go. And you know I even spent the night in nature with you without fear of anything. But Julia, this time is different. I have a strange feeling about this. I know it sounds strange, but the waiter's words could be true. According to her usual mischief, Julia explained to Hannah, Girl, don't worry. You know these are local legends. You hear a lot of this nonsense in every village and town you go to. If you remember, that stupid old man told stories about Bigfoot last time. I'll never forget how much we laughed that day. After a while of talking, Hannah finally agreed to continue on their way to the lake. Julia started the car and they set off. Hannah was lost in the beauty of the beautiful and pristine nature of that area from the back window of the car. Tall trees, pleasant and summery weather, and birds flying in the sky singing their lovely songs. These are all things that make you forget all the hardships and stresses of everyday life. While Julia was trying to reach her destination in the heart of that forest, she suddenly stopped the car and said to Hannah, My God, I can't believe it. How how beautiful and pristine this lake is, just like what we heard about it." After parking the car in a corner, they got out and took the necessary equipment for hiking and headed towards the lake. When they arrived, Julia said, "After all this driving, it's finally time to take a dip to get rid of the fatigue and heat of the weather." They took off their clothes and dived into the water as quickly as possible. They were having a great time all along, enjoying their swim. The cool water of the lake was an indescribable pleasure for them in that summer heat. While they were swimming, Hannah suddenly had a strange feeling. She paused for a moment and realized something was touching her legs underwater. She checked around a bit to make sure. She didn't see anything unusual. She didn't pay any more attention to it and continued swimming. It wasn't long before the silence in the lake was broken. Hannah screamed and shouted, calling for help in a terrified voice. Julia, who was a little away from Hannah, went into shock. She swam towards Hannah as fast as she could to reach her sooner. When she reached Hannah, she noticed her terrified face trembling with fear. Julia hugs Hannah to comfort and calm her down, and asks her, "Hannah, honey, what's wrong? I heard your scream from the other side of the lake. What made you so scared?" Hannah, who was too scared to speak, replied with difficulty, "Julia, we need to get out of here as soon as possible. As soon as we entered this lake, I noticed strange things happening, but I told myself it was all my imagination. But just a few seconds ago, I swear something underwater grabbed my legs and pulled me under." Julia sighed deeply, shook her head in regret, and said, "Damn, I knew it would turn out this way. Hannah, honey, the problem is that the words of that stupid waiter got you worked up. If that's what you're saying, then why didn't I feel anything strange? Please don't let this ruin our vacation. This might be our last summer vacation. You know that next year we graduate and it might be hard to get these opportunities. So let's make the most of our days and enjoy life." Julia tried to calm down and convince Hannah, but it was futile. Hannah couldn't swim in that lake for another second. Hannah said to her friend, "I'm sorry, Julia, but I'm not in the mood to swim anymore. I'm going to the car to get some drinks. You better come with me." Julia distanced herself from Hannah and swam backward, telling her, "I still have energy to swim. It's a shame you missed the chance to enjoy this clear and cool water. You can go, I'll join you later." Hannah went to the car weakly and listlessly and dried herself off with a towel. After drying her body, she got into the car. While in the car, Hannah kept thinking about what had really happened to her earlier. Was she really in serious danger? Were all these just negative thoughts from her mind? After all these questions were tormenting her and turning this vacation into a nightmare. Hannah stopped thinking and tried to occupy her mind with something else for a while until Julia joined her. She took her headphones out of her bag and put them on her ears. She tried to calm her mind and soul a little by listening to music. Meanwhile, Julia was still enjoying swimming in the lake. After swimming for a while, she decided to get out of the lake and head towards the car. Julia was swimming towards land when she suddenly heard a voice from underwater. Julia laughs and says in a loud voice, "Hannah, that's not a good way to scare me. You yourself know you have to try better ways to scare me." Before she could finish her sentence, she suddenly plunged underwater. The lake water had turned into a large whirlpool. At that moment, Julia was struggling to call for help from Hannah with her screams and shouts. But every time she screamed, she was pulled underwater. Her screams shattered the silence of that nature, enough for all the birds to fly from the trees and flee. But unaware that Hannah couldn't help her. At that time, she was lost listening to music with her headphones. Some time passed, and Hannah noticed the time passing. She looked at her phone's clock and saw that a significant amount of time had passed and Julia hadn't returned yet. It was gradually getting dark. Unhappy, She went towards the lake to call Julia. She said in a loud voice, "Julia, we better go. It's getting dark. Let's go before nightfall so we don't run into trouble on the road." While Hannah was talking, she suddenly paused and stared forward. Her eyes widened with fear from what she saw. Her body suddenly started trembling violently. The scene was so disgusting and repulsive that it was unbelievable for her. Hannah witnessed Julia's lifeless and gruesomely slaughtered body on the surface of the lake. The blue color of the lake had turned completely red and was mixed with Julia's blood. In this situation, Hannah realized that her guesses and feelings about this place were right. She ran away with trembling legs and sprinted towards the car. Crying, she got into the car and started it. Her hands were heavy, and she could barely steer the wheel. The weather turned dark and engulfed the entire forest. Hannah could hardly see her surroundings, and in these conditions, she could only navigate her way through that dark forest with the light of her car. Hannah moaned and cried out loud, lost in her thoughts. She thought to herself that if Julia hadn't been so stubborn and listened to her, this terrible event would never have happened. But what Hannah couldn't understand was what caused such a horrific disaster. She was finally able to get on the main road and get further and further away from that cursed lake. Hours passed. Hannah went to the police station to report this horrific incident. She explained all the details to them. The police took action to search and investigate for Julia's body in that location. They examined the entire area in detail. Even divers entered the lake to search for remains of Julia's body. The police investigation team worked on this case for a long time. But the strange thing was that this case was unanswered, just like all the past cases. There was no trace of Julia under the lake water or in that area. This new case wasn't the first unsolved case in this area. In the past, reports had been received by the police from families of missing people about people disappearing in this area, and all of them remained unsolved. But the only difference in this new case was that one person was able to escape from that area. Hannah was the survivor of that horrific event. If Hannah hadn't listened to her inner voice, she might not have been counted among the living. Months passed, and Hannah could no longer return to the normal life she had before these events. She dropped out of university, and for eternity, she continued her sad life, filled with grief over the loss of her friend. And with that, our story concludes. For all travelers out there, remember to prioritize safety on your adventures. Research your destinations, be mindful of your surroundings, and use common sense. Happy and safe travels. Thanks so much for sticking around until the end. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you thought. Thanks for watching.